For weeks now, PHNX Suns has been mentioning San Antonio as a potential trade destination for Kevin Durant, and Bill Simmons says he thinks a deal's already done.
I wouldn't be surprised if KD to the Spurs is done already, and they just haven't announced it. It's basically they've agreed on specifics, and they'll just announce it the week of the draft. Don't aggregate that. I have no inside info. It just feels goes back to the honest thing. I think they're just going to trade for KD and it'll cost a lot less. They'll be able to be really competitive and maybe even go a couple rounds in the playoffs, but they're also going to keep the number 2 pick and do it that way.
Welcome on into a trending PHNX Suns. I'm Erik Ruby, per usual. Drop a comment, leave a like, subscribe to the channel. If you're listening on audio, 5-star reviews go a long way. Obviously, Bill Simmons saying, don't aggregate this. I don't have any inside information. I'm not here to tell you that what Bill Simmons is saying is true or to think about it too much. But it is a good avenue to talk about Kevin Durant and the Spurs, because it does feel like the Spurs have floated as that top destination as it had with Kevin Durant and the Phoenix Suns back when he was on Brooklyn. And usually how these things turn out in the NBA is when you see smoke, there's fire. Now, we say subterfuge season, don't believe everything you see, and I completely stand by that as well. And I know what you're thinking. That's pretty damn contradictory, Erik. How can you not believe what anybody's thinking, but also say where there's smoke, there's fire? When you get a lot of reporting led down one path, right? You got to start thinking there's some truth to it. Now, I don't think that there's truth to saying that a deal's already agreed upon. I don't believe that. And when you look at maybe some of the other things like what Kelly Iko has been saying about the Rockets' waning interest in Kevin Durant and Devin Booker and where that angle is coming from, and when you look at the Spurs and you look at KD, it goes much more beyond where there's smoke, there's fire from a media perspective. It also plays into a fact of, are there matching contracts? Yes, there are matching contracts. Does San Antonio have themselves in a position to compete if they trade for Kevin Durant now? I think after the De'Aaron Fox trade with another year of Wembanyama, absolutely they are in position to be competing. And then option number 3 is, do they have value beyond the contracts that the Phoenix Suns want back, and would Kevin Durant want to go there? All of those boxes are checked with the San Antonio Spurs. But who I want to talk about is most likely the main piece coming back in return with a trade with the Spurs. That would be Devin Vassell. Now, I would love to get the number 2 pick. I would love to get Stephon Castle. Maybe you can get the Spurs to part with Stephon Castle. I doubt you can get them to part with the number 2 pick. But those would be the top 2 prospects. However, I think San Antonio would fight very hard to not include either of those in the trade deal. They're going to be looking most likely at some combination of Vassell, Sohan, Keldon Johnson, whatever the salaries needed to make it work around Vassell and the number 14th pick in this year's draft. But putting everything else to the side, let's talk about Devin Vassell. I was talking with people on Twitter earlier today about Devin Vassell's fit on the Phoenix Suns, and I think in theory, if you think Devin Vassell can be a Mikal Bridges-like defender with his length and his long arms, well then yeah, I think you get excited about that, but I just don't see Devin Vassell as a Mikal Bridges-type defender. Now, is he lanky? Yes. Is he basically the same size as Devin Booker? Absolutely. Does he present pretty much the same problem that in theory somebody like Bradley Beal would bring to the table? I think so. Now, I think Devin Vassell right now is a better player than Kevin Durant. That's not true. Don't clip that. A better player than Bradley Beal, better at catch and shoot, better at playing defense, better at playing off ball. I think all of those things mean that he would fit better alongside Devin Booker. However, I don't think that he is this elite point of attack defender beyond his intangibles, aka his length, maybe not even intangibles, but just his physical assets with his length and his arms to play alongside Book. I just think there's too much overlap there to have a Devin Vassell-centered package come back in return for Kevin Durant, right? And maybe you value the 14th pick as the best asset, but then I follow up by saying, I don't think the 14th pick is the best main asset for a return package for Kevin Durant. And maybe that's where his value is. Maybe I'm wrong on that, and that could be proven true. But if I'm the Suns, I'm not looking for my main piece in return for Kevin Durant to be another shooting guard. It just can't. When you know that you're building around Devin Booker, you saw the deficiencies that playing 2 shooting guards together with Bradley Beal and Devin Booker, moving Book over to this true point guard role instead of letting him be a killer and assassin at the 2. What that did to him, was he bad? No. Was he as good as he could have been? Absolutely not. Would it hurt him defensively? Sure, because even with Vassell would thrive being able to guard smaller players on the perimeter to use his length because he's not exactly that strong, which means Book would then have to slot up guard threes again, which is a recipe for disaster for him, especially active threes that cut a lot. So I don't love that package, but if you could find a way to get the number 2 pick, if you could find a way to get Stephon Castle, I'm way, way more intrigued with that package. But at the end of the day, it really is, what does Kevin Durant want? What do the San Antonio Spurs want? And then third, it's what the Phoenix Suns want. And maybe the Phoenix Suns don't want to approach it like that, but they are not in the position of leverage. They are not in a position of power. I don't think a deal is already done. The Suns would be doing themselves a disservice if they weren't listening to every single possible team who would come and pitch for trading Durant. We got Shams Charania reporting that a robust market of 4 to 6 teams could be interested. We've talked about teams like the New York Knicks. We've talked about teams like the Houston Rockets, like the Minnesota Timberwolves, right? And the San Antonio Spurs have always been in that mix atop it. But do you feel like that is the end destination for Kevin Durant? Is that the best return the Phoenix Suns can get? Drop your trade predictions down below. Drop your trade packages down below as well. Drop a comment. Leave a like. If you're listening on audio, we have a ton of fun over here on YouTube as well. But if you're comfortable where you are, 5-star reviews go a long way. And if you're looking for the latest updates on the Suns, PHNX Suns has you covered with live shows at 3 p.m. every single day. Sometimes we go live a little later, like Tuesday night, we'll be live at 5:30 reacting to Jordan Knott's introductory press conference. And of course, we have breaking news pods. As soon as Kevin Durant gets traded, we will be going live from this very channel. So make sure you are subscribed and following us on social at PHNX_Suns on Twitter and on Instagram. You can follow me at ERIKRUBY. Once again, drop your predictions down below. Is KD to the Spurs a done deal? Let me know, and we'll talk to you soon.
We all silly like the mayor.